Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
We've got a good friend of the podcast back to hang out with us here for a little What's Working in Ag segment because tis the season, Corey. It's time to start getting signed up for programs.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now in the winter, purchasing inputs and planning for next year, but this is a very important one.
This is something that I think a lot of our listeners are wondering about and want to find a trusted partner to work with. So it's a good thing we got Kelly Garrett here to hang out with us. Welcome to the podcast again, Kelly.
How are you, Tanner? Hello, Corey.
Hello.
We're great. We're about to be better, getting fueled up on our GLC beef sticks here hanging out in front of us. We love the products that you've sent us. We appreciate that.
Thank you. I haven't had lunch yet. That doesn't sound too bad myself.
They haven't fed you yet? I figured...
No.
Oh, well, we'll have to send a text to make sure that gets done.
Yep.
I know it. I'm a little disappointed. I thought I would have eaten by now. You're right.
Well, let's jump right into the topic of carbon and what your experience has been working with truterra. So how long have you been partnered up utilizing their programs?
I started with their original contract in 2021, have stayed there exclusively ever since, and been a great experience.
I want to say I've learned probably the most about the carbon market from Kelly. If I'm not mistaken, you're probably one of the first people to get paid in Iowa, at least.
I have the distinction of being the first farmer to get paid in the carbon market. December 1st, 2020, Shopify bought 5,000 of my original credits.
Shopify? That's even a household name that we'd recognize.
Yeah. Really? So how's that changed now from when you started to now? Is it easier to sign up?
It is easier to sign up. That first initial with Shopify, we were kind of figuring it out as we went along. I'm supposed to tell you that they were looking for an early adopter. The term I've always used is guinea pig. But I was willing to be that guy, And it very much has been streamlined. And telling people what you need. You need your 578s from the USDA, from FSA, and you need your federal crop paperwork because they need third-party validation. They need third-party verification to ensure that everything you're telling us is the truth. There's a lot of money involved here, and nobody's going to hand it over to you unless you can prove to them that you're telling the truth. And so that's the two sources of information I use. Makes it very easy, very seamless because, of course, the government is verifying that information.
Right. So most farmers that I know might turn their nose up at something like this, and now we've been in it for a few years. What made you go against the grain and look into something like this?
Well, I would tell you that I was a little bit lucky that where I live or where we live, you guys are only about 100 miles away. Where we live is the sweet spot for carbon sequestration. So our models are going to show the most carbon sequestered into the soil relative to, say, my friend Chad Henderson in Alabama. Okay, so we're lucky to where we live. And then where I live in the hills over here, as you guys know, where I live in the hills, no-till and cover crops really help us with conservation and things like that. So the way that we farm is tailor-made for what the carbon market is looking for. So just like most things in my life, Corey, as you know, I get lucky. So that's what got me involved in the first place was everything here just kind of fell in place with what they're looking for. And all I had to invest to be that early adopter was time. So I really didn't think I had a lot to risk because of the money that we were talking about. And boy, it's been a big payoff.
So when you talk time, though, how difficult is this sign-up process? You already talked about what forms we want to make sure we have for information. If Corey and I are getting ready to sign up for this, what are we looking at?
That very first time to get everything, as we were figuring it out and working through that, we felt like it took us about 55 hours. Today, it takes about 10.
Wow.
You need your yields, your yield map, your rotation. What you get, your rotation is verified off your federal crop paperwork, your 578 to verify the acres and things like that. It's about a 10-hour-a-year process. It's not a big deal.
Nice.
That doesn't sound too bad.
How about, so now we know why and how. There's a lot of different companies out there that offer carbon credits, or it seems like, it's kind of murky water in some instances. Why truterra?
I got involved with Truterra originally. They called. I happened to live not too far from one of the executives at Truterra. Had a relationship with them, and then my retailer from Truterra is not too far away. And that original Microsoft contract was attractive. My first credits were with a different market. They were $15. The Microsoft contract, the original one with Truterra, was $20. So of course, we're talking about 33% more money. And Truterra hasn't had a hard time in attracting buyers. Some of the other markets I've been involved with or looked at have had a little tougher time to attract buyers, and it takes a while to get paid. With Truterra, it's like clockwork, and they just come at you. And then, some of the other, you use the word murky waters, or I've talked about the carbon market can be like the wild, wild west. Mm-hmm. Well, with Truterra being backed by Land O'Lakes, a 100-year-old cooperative, I guess I would say the analogy is when you talk about Land O'Lakes, people maybe don't work with Land O'Lakes or their co-op if they're not in their area, but you just talk about security, honesty, transparency, and all of that carries through with Truterra. It's just a secure, honest place to be. And as a farmer, you don't feel like you're being taken advantage of.
Yeah, because when you said you felt like the guinea pig, 4 years ago, I think there's still some farmers that might feel that way too. It's just such an unknown space, and not because there hasn't been some experience. I think there's a lack of people talking about their experiences.
There are, and farmers are notoriously private. They don't want to share a lot of things. They can look at their neighbors as being competitors and things like that. I've just been very open about my experience because I believe that it's what's best for our environment. I believe it's what's best for agriculture. I believe the government is going to come with regulations, and the programs that Truterra has are the way that we should maybe look at farming. And we as farmers, I'm an advocate for this because we as farmers should help talk about this and share this story, because otherwise regulations are going to come in that we maybe don't want, and we maybe need to tell our story so we can help write those regulations. My friend Temple, part of Extreme Ag in the Chesapeake Bay, regulations came in and they had to relearn how to farm. That's the story he'll tell you. Those regulations or some type of them will probably come to the rest of the nation. Let's figure out how to write the story and talk about it. Let's engage in programs like Truterra has to help show the world that we're doing a good job by the environment and the climate.
Yep. Probably the biggest question that any farmer is going to have is on the payment side of things of this. What do you get paid, or how much per carbon credit? When do I get paid? How has that process looked?
I expect my next check to come in February. There's some people that have been getting paid in December. It depends on the program you're in. Right. Like I said, my original credits were 15. Then when I started with Truterra, they went to 21. I'm talking per ton or per credit. That's the same thing. Yep. Now they're up to 30.
Really?
Now they're up to $30 per credit. There's some other long-term adopters that before didn't ever qualify for a program. Truterra now has a program for them, and I think they get paid $25 an acre. That's a lot of money. When before you didn't ever qualify for a program, now you can go get $25 an acre, and then you can go into the future programs. That's great.
Yeah, I think the flexibility is going to be key. But if we've still got a listener that isn't excited yet, what we've talked about hasn't gotten fired up to go sign up or start looking into the program, what do you have to say to someone who's still doubtful?
There's information at Extreme Ag. You guys have got information. Truterra's website shares a lot of information. Talk to a Truterra retailer. You can find me on Twitter or Facebook. I would share my experience with you on a personal level. I don't have anything to hide. And just to talk about it, I've been around people before and on a panel with a guy. He said, well, I really don't know what I'm selling, or I really don't know how it's being measured. And when you think about that research it and find out and make yourself comfortable. Or think about other areas. How do you know when you guys spread dry fertilizer? Do you ever go out and make sure that they're putting that amount out there? Or you just trust it? Yep. There's so many things in our life that we just trust the people we're dealing with are doing the right thing. Why doesn't that carry over to here? Just because it's new doesn't mean that they're misleading you.
I like that. That was a good way to correlate that. Well,
yep.
Kelly, We always appreciate our conversation, and we love it when you visit because you show up with some beautiful and delicious snacks.
Yeah.
But I hope our listeners find some value in this, and it encourages them to do some more of their own homework. And maybe they look up Truterra and get themselves signed up like Coy and I are going to try and do this winter.
I do want to say, if you are going to go to their website, don't do what I did because you'll end up at a shampoo site. It's TRUTERRAAG, truterraag.com, not truterra.com.
Oh yeah, that would probably help. So
Because Kelly can't use shampoo or doesn't need shampoo, so
It lasts a long time at my house.
that's great. Thanks again, Kelly. We appreciate you hanging out with us. I do have one question before we part. We're gonna talk.
Shoot.
We're gonna talk drones next. Have you used drones on your farm?
Yes.
Do you ever spray with them?
Yeah, we've sprayed with the drones and we've seeded cover crops with the drones. Good experience.
Well, that's cool. I'm excited to learn more about what our next guest has in store. But thanks again.
Anytime.
thanks,
Happy
Kelly.
New Year.